we are now focusing on respiratory system. Here we have to discuss about respiration. Obviously we are going to discuss just revision type. Now mainly respiration is there. We are focusing on human being, but a little bit here and there we have to discuss. So when we are talking of respiration, then inside the cell, particularly respiration is there to get this reaction. This is simple sugar. You are aware that in previous lecture only we discussed photosynthesis and respiration. They are reversible, like that reactions we discussed. So this is C6H12O6, which is simple sugar, which is combining with oxygen. Reaction is not balanced here in presence of certain enzymes. This slow oxidation process is there, where we are getting carbon dioxide plus water plus energy is liberated in this reaction. So basically role of respiration is to get oxygen. That oxygen is reacting with C6H12O6. We are getting carbon dioxide plus water. This is a reaction where energy is liberated. This energy is utilized in the conversion of a molecule. This is called as ADP. So ADP is called as adenosine diphosphate. So adenosine diphosphate is combining with inorganic phosphate reversibly to form ATP. This is called as adenosine triphosphate. This is the system having low energy. This is system having high energy. So this energy is used to convert ADP plus inorganic phosphate group combining with to give ATP, where energy is absorbed in this process. This way ATP is energy rich molecule. Cell organelles are taking out ATP. The reversible reaction is there. ATP is converted into ADP plus IP and energy is liberated in this reaction. This is called as particularly cellular level parts of respiration, where ADP is converted into ATP, energy rich molecule. ATP is utilized by cell organelle, and again ADP and inorganic phosphate, they are generated here. Now in case of this respiration where oxygen is used, the number of molecules of ATP formed is not balance out reaction, but whatever this reaction is there, energy is liberated, that is utilized to convert ADP molecule into ATP molecule, where if oxygen is used, then the respiration is called as aerobic respiration. In case of aerobic respiration, we are getting 38 molecule of ATP. That is the energy we are getting here. So in case of ATP, aerobic respiration, we are having 38 molecules of ATP from this single molecule of glucose or simple sugar, which is oxidized, that is generating out 38 molecules of ATP. Whereas 100% that glucose is converted into carbon dioxide and water. Whereas in absence of air, under enzymatic action, we are calling this as anaerobic respiration. In case of anaerobic respiration, we are getting the products, something like lactic acid or ethanol, that is ethyl alcohol, plus carbon dioxide is also liberated, plus energy is liberated, water is also there, energy is also liberated, but this energy is utilized to convert 2 molecules of ADP to 2 molecules of ATP. So here ATP liberated are 2, here ATP liberated are 38. So main difference between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration is that in case of aerobic respiration we are getting 38 molecules of ATP, so very high energy is liberated. In case of anaerobic respiration, we are getting only 2 molecules of ATP. Now, what is the connection of this anaerobic respiration with human being. In our body also, no doubt maximum respiration is aerobic respiration, but sometimes in absence or in scarcity of oxygen, anaerobic respiration is also taking place in our body. For example, when we are carrying out lot of exercise, then muscles are in requirement of oxygen, which is not fulfilled 100%. And so, these muscles are undergoing a process that is anaerobic respiration also. So, it is not that muscles are always performing anaerobic respiration, but sometime it perform anaerobic respiration. At that time, product form here is lactic acid. Whereas certain microorganisms like yeast, they are performing anaerobic respiration, and at that time the product form is usually ethyl alcohol. So here we are getting ethyl alcohol. So other than human being also anaerobic respiration is taking place, and in case of human being also in certain parts and anaerobic respiration is taking place. Now in case of human being, if you are talking, then when anaerobic respiration is taking place, energy liberated is more, that is 38 molecules of ATP are formed, whereas in case of human being only, or in case of other microorganism, when one molecule of glucose is converted anaerobically, then we are getting the product which is rich of lactic acid or ethyl alcohol, and only 2 molecules of ATP are formed. Now predominantly in human being, suppose I am discussing, then predominantly this respiration, that is oxidization of glucose, that is taking place in the cell, and the main part of this oxidation is finished off in the cell organelle, that is called as mitochondrion. Singular mitochondrion, plural mitochondria. So mitochondria is consisting of this respiration process, where tremendous energy is liberated in this process. That's why we are calling them as powerhouse of the cell. But keep in mind, not entire process of this respiration is taking place in mitochondria. It is beginning on the wall of mitochondria, and then part of that is taken inside the mitochondria. So this is the way we can find out the respiration. So main product of burning is glucose. But apart from glucose, whatever the oxygen is consumed, that is also utilized to burn out fat in the body. As we discussed in nutrition part, that fat is considered as reserve food or high energy molecules. Approximately, when one molecule of fat is burned, it is giving energy that is equivalent to almost 3 to 4 molecules of glucose burnt out. Burnt means oxidized. Then whatever energy is liberated, that much energy is given by single molecule of fat. Under normal circumstances, fat burning, that means oxidation of fat, is not taking place. But when we are carrying out over exercise, or exercise rather, say for example I am climbing in a building, having say suppose 6-story building, 7-story building, straight away I am climbing, then initially only glucose is burned. But when inclination is there and we are walking continuously, then obvious thing that fat burning also proceeds. If you are walking vigorously, not for 2 to 3 minutes, but more than that, then automatically fat burning starts out in body. And then this is also another oxidation product. If suppose unfortunately person is having very small amount of fat as well as carbohydrates are there, then the third product that is burnt out in body, that is protein. Protein is not meant for fuel. Main role of protein is to build body and carry out metabolic activities in the body. But in absence of energy source, when carbohydrates are also absent or scarcity, and fat is also absent or in scarcity, then our body start burning out proteins in the body. Proteins also liberate same amount of energy like fat is emitting out, but proteins are not made for burning process. In emergency only proteins are used for burning. So this is the way oxidation is taking place. Now this is all I am talking, that is about internal respiration. At brief, now we are focusing on external respiration, that means how air is taken inside the body. So here just I have given basis requirement of oxygen we discuss here. Now we are going to discuss about the actually respiratory system in human body. शिव तेरा आवाज मत कर, चप्पल का आवाज आएगा. Now we are talking about this external respiration part. That means whatever air is there that we have to take inside our body and it is going to absorb in our body. Now we are interested in oxygen. So respiration begins with our nose. Through nostrils actually air pass out, where nostrils are having hairs inside the nostrils. The main function of these hairs, that is to trap out physical object. Because when somebody is inhaling means what? Air is taken in. Then at inhalation, these particles, dust particles and some insects like fruit flies and all that, they may enter. To stop that, these hairs are there which are having a sort of sensitivity. So if any object tries to enter, then that sensitivity alerts you and then you are having some sneezing like action. But minute particles, they may even pass out through this network of hairs. To trap these particles, a mucus secretion is secreted from inside part of our nose, where these dust particles get trapped, stick over there. The inner part of nose is very, very small. It is not broad. And then dust particles are sticking out to the surface and then air is going inside. Here, the sense of smell is also attached here only. Now, this air is going inside where temperature is regulated. Maybe possible outside air is cold, but inside when it is going through nostrils, it becomes warm. This temperature adjustment is carried out through nostrils. And so, we are showing here this way the path. Suppose I am showing this is nose, then this is mouth part. Then we can check out here that air is passing out through this. Here this is buccal chamber, it is coming over here. So ultimately the path is same. So why don't we can breathe from mouth? A wide opening can be available here and more air can be taken in. But that air, number one, is not having similar temperature to body temperature. Number two, maybe possible particles, dust particle and bigger particles also may enter. To prevent out that, keep in mind while carrying out respiration you have to close your mouth and only through nostrils this respiration we have to do. In normal conditions alright, but particularly when we are going for trekking or exercises carried out, running and all that, then people are in habit that they are opening their mouth wide. Actually it is natural habit that we are opening out your mouth wide and taking more and more air inside, because path is from here also same. But try to avoid this practice and try to get maximum air from nostril. It will be filtered, temperature regulated is there, and then it is going here. Here two tubes are there. Say I am showing this side way. My drawing is not that perfect here. So one is called as esophagus and one is called as trachea. There is only one membrane which is guiding out either esophagus or trachea. So when trachea is open, then esophagus is closed. That means food particle cannot enter there. only respiratory tract is open. When we are consuming food, then at that time the trachea is closed. When we are particularly swallowing food, then trachea is closed and food enters through esophagus. So trachea is protected. This is achieved by a process that is called as coordination. Sometimes there is lack in coordination, particularly when we are speaking something and eating food. Both actions we are carrying out simultaneously. Then sometimes lack of coordination may be there. Miscoordination is there and food wrongly enters in trachea. Now this trachea, I am showing in this another way. This is the trachea, suppose I am showing. It is having from inside some hairy outgrowth. We are calling this as ciliary epithelial cells. These all are cilia. Cilia means small hairy outgrowth of the cell. They are there, and these particles are giving cuffing action. And this is whatever the foreign particles are entering in this trachea, they get thrown away. So if you are carrying out respiration through nose, then these chances are less. I am not saying not at all there, but chances are less. But any foreign particle is entering here, then it is thrown away. The sensitivity level of this trachea is maintained at some level. Now, this ciliary epithelium are filtering out air which will pass inside. Now, inside that, it is divided into two parts. We are calling them as bronchia. So, first is trachea. Trachea is divided into fine part. We are saying bronchia, which is entering into different organs here. That is lungs. Here, this left side of lung is having a small notch here, because here another important organ is there, that is heart, that is here. So this is left lung which is having notch. Right lung, it is not having notch in normal condition. It is said that 1 out of 1 lakh person may have heart is towards this side, right side. Otherwise, every normal person is having heart at left side. 1 out of 1 lakh people may have heart towards this side. Otherwise, we are having normal person is having heart towards little bit left side. Now, these lungs are there. They are perfectly, we can say, suitable. They are very, very flexible. They are protected in thoracic cage. Actually, we have to discuss skeletal system, but in our regular lecture, when we are discussing about this skeletal system that is available on video lecture, you can check out that. There is thoracic cage where ribs are there. The first 7 pairs of ribs, they are directly attached to bone here. This is called as sternum bone. They are actually fixed. Then next 3 pairs of ribs, they are attaching to themselves first through cartilaginous joint, and then they are attaching to sternum bone. They are called as false ribs. And last 2 pairs of ribs, they are not at all attached to sternum bone directly. Maybe possible muscular joint is there, but not cartilaginous or bony joint is there. They are called as floating ribs. Because of this arrangement, the thoracic cage become something like Indian constitution, that is rigid as well as elastic. So some sort of rigidity is maintained here and sort of flexibility that is also maintained in this thoracic cage. And so when person inhale, then these lungs are having sufficient space to expand here. And then exhale, these lungs are contracting out, so air is passing through this tube. Now this bronchia, they are divided further in smaller part. We are calling them as bronchiole. Ultimately, a fine piece, something like this, or you can observe a unicellular part inside. They are called as alveolar sac, where network of capillaries are there. You are aware from heart, blood is circulated through lungs. So artery that supplies blood from heart to lung, that is called as pulmonary artery. This is divided into further smaller units, and ultimately a network of capillary is set out here, where actually exchange of gases are taking place. Carbon dioxide is entering in this alveolar sac, and through this pipe it is exhaled out. Whereas whatever oxygen is taken in, that oxygen is combining with hemoglobin to form oxyhemoglobin. These all things are happening inside his alveolar sac. So we are calling this as actual respiration site. So I am revising again. Air is taken through nose, then it enters in trachea, then from trachea it enters in bronchia, bronchiole. Ultimately a fine layer is there that is called as alveolar sac, which is almost unicellular, and it is lined by capillaries, network of capillaries. And then there is exchange of gases which is taking place over here. Then the gases are going out. This is called as normal respiration process. Now certain part we are inhaling out gases, we are withholding that gas for certain time, and then exhalation is carried out. This all process we are considering under semi-voluntary process. Heartbeat are more, I can say, involuntary. But this respiration, that is semi-voluntary. Why I am saying semi-voluntary? Because you must have noticed sometimes some bad smell is there. At that time, we can control our respiration for a while. Maybe possible for 30 to 40 seconds. I can withhold my breath. Without inhaling gas, I can sustain to 30 to 40 seconds. When we are swimming out, particularly deep water swimming, or we are going underwater, then also we can withhold our breath. That means inhalation or exhalation is not allowed. 30 to 40 seconds may be possible. Some people, they can survive for 1 minute also. So water depending upon everybody's capacity. But then we have to release out that gas. That means we have to exhale. And ultimately we have to inhale only. For a while we can control, but not the case that I can withhold my inhalation for 30 minutes rather than 30 seconds. No. So then it is compulsory we have to do, and that's why we are calling this process as semi-voluntary. Heartbeat, by certain emotions we are taking in mind, we can control little bit. But there is no direct control that okay, now for next 30 seconds my heart will not beat at all. No. These type of actions are not possible for a layman. May be possible for yogi people. It may be there. But for layman, this controlling heartbeat and all that is not possible. So heartbeat we are calling as involuntary, but respiration is semi-voluntary. Now, normal person at normal speed, suppose I am sitting or like that sleeping, then respiration rate is 16 cycles per minute. This is normal respiration rate. Cycle means what? Inhalation, withholding and exhalation. This is one cycle, which is actually semi-voluntary, but properly speaking involuntary, because we are not taking every time care about what we are inhaling and exhaling. No, just we are carrying out our work, and respiration is working something like background. The software, certain softwares are working at background only. So like that, this respiration is controlled like background under normal concepts. But when we are carrying out some activities of yoga, particularly you are saying that pranayam and all that, keep in mind, without expert guidance, don't do pranayam and all that activity. But in that process, it is said that we have to inhale, say count 1 to 20, exhale 1 to 20 number. So if it is possible, but kindly perform this all under expert guidance, or otherwise count half, that is 1 to 10, 10 to again 1 to 10 and 1 to 10. Then you will find that if you are carrying out this 1 to 10, that means in a minute you are almost having 2 cycles. Or if you are carrying out for 1 to 20, then in a minute you have only 1 cycle. That is the way. Now here, as I am saying, that respiration rate is around 16 cycles per minute. But there is problem that we have to discuss here, that when person inhales gas, air is supposed to have 20% oxygen. On an average, we can consider here that 20% oxygen is present in air. Whatever oxygen is present in air, out of that, 20% is absorbed by lungs. Alright, so you have to calculate, let me clarify again, that suppose I am inhaling out 500 ml of air at a time. So 500 multiplied by 20%. So I am calculating here that 2 zeros are there. That is consisting of 100 ml air, 100 ml oxygen. So when I am consuming or inhaling half liter air, out of that 100 ml is oxygen. Out of that 100 ml oxygen, 20% is absorbed by our lungs. So take 20% of that, you will get answer as 20 only. So when I am inhaling out, simply I should say this way, that when I am inhaling out 500 ml air, then out of that only 20 ml oxygen is absorbed. That means it is having already 100 ml oxygen. Out of that 20 ml is absorbed. That means 80 ml is still remaining. And that 80 ml is sent out in exhalation gases. So under normal circumstances, inhalation and exhalation is not that perfect. In exhaled gases, we have 100 ml, 80 ml oxygen yet, which is exhaled out. So usually exhaled gases are having composition highest amount of nitrogen, then oxygen, which is yet out of 500 ml, 80 ml. That means still 16% oxygen is there in air. Then carbon dioxide and all other gases are there. So it is wrong concept that exhaled gases are having only carbon dioxide. It is having oxygen also. It is having nitrogen, as nitrogen is abundantly present, and you are carrying out respiration on surface of earth. Suppose you are under the water, then inside water, if you are having mask and you are carrying out respiration, then nitrogen is also tend to absorb in blood and dissolve in blood. But that is when we are going in deep inside water, then only nitrogen dissolves in blood. Otherwise nitrogen is not absorbed. And to avoid this danger, we are usually using, that means these deep water divers, they are using oxygen diluted with helium. That is there. Now this oxygen is absorbed just only, we can check out that out of 500 ml only 20 ml is absorbed. So check out 500 ml only 20 ml is absorbed. Suppose I am talking with 100, then 4% oxygen is absorbed. 4% volume only is absorbed here. Now this way our inhalation gases are having 20% oxygen, exhaled gases are having 16% oxygen. So again the thing that through alveolar sac all gases are not going out. Actually all gases should go out, but no, they are remaining here because another respiration cycle begins here. And so there is mixture of gases here. We are calling that as residual gases. So we have to account for these residual gases also. So this is the case I am discussing here, that when we are carrying out this type of deep breathing exercises, then in deep breathing exercises, when we are carrying out exhalation, these residual gases are taken out and fresh air enters in. But if you are not carrying out this exercise, then also nothing to worry. When you are yawning out, then at that time also, this is whatever the accumulated gases are there, they are thrown away this way. So this is actually, we are talking about respiration cycle. I have discussed here about in very brief how respiration is achieved, the capacity of lungs and all that, the absorption techniques of gases that we have discussed here. Now normal respiration rate we discussed, that is 16 cycles per minute. Actually the process involve here a presence of diaphragm. As we discussed in earlier part that between chest and stomach there is diaphragm. That diaphragm goes down. That's why there is creation of empty space and lungs are going to expand. In India, suppose I am talking that I am staying in Mumbai, which is in coastal line, where atmospheric pressure is very high. It is 1 atmospheric pressure or 760 mm of mercury. That is the atmospheric pressure present over here. So respiration process is quite easy. Under pressure, this diaphragm moves down very easily. But if you are there on Himalayas, particularly on plateau of Tibet, or you are crossing out greater Himalaya, then at that time atmospheric pressure decreases. As a result, more efforts are taken so that diaphragm should go down, and that's why breathing problems are observed, particularly when you are crossing out Himalaya or you are there on plateau of Tibet, you are there for Kailas traveling, Manas Sarovar, Kailas Parvat, all these things you are visiting, then many people suffer from respiration problem. This is because at very low pressure, we have to take efforts so that diaphragm should go down. That is the way we are discussing just briefly about respiration processes. As usual, you have to appear for a test. So we are discussing here some 5 questions. You will get availability on screen. When anaerobic respiration is taking place in human muscle, dash number of ATP molecules are produced from single glucose molecule. Answer is 2. Dash is called as powerhouse of cell. Very basic question. Answer is mitochondria. Dash percent of O2 is absorbed under normal circumstances in human lungs. So, oxygen percent is 20, and out of that 20% oxygen, 20% is absorbed. So if you are writing out answer, then the answer is actually 20% of oxygen is absorbed, but to the total it is 4%. So both answers I should give here correct. If you are writing 4%, then also correct, because to the air it is 4%. But to the oxygen, whatever the oxygen is there, out of that 20% is absorbed. Actual exchange of gases are taken place in dash place in the lungs. You are aware that position, that place is called as alveolar sac. So in alveolar sac, this is taking place. Inner lining of trachea, that is called as dash epithelium. That is called as ciliary epithelium. As we discussed that there are a hairy outgrowth, they are called as cilia. They are there to control sensitivity. If particles are entering inside, then they are thrown away by cuffing action. So that is called as ciliary epithelium. So as usual, score should be in the range of 3 or 3 plus. Then it's good. Less than 3, you have to revise this lecture and proceed further.